I don't, you know what, we can get started just so Tim, we don't have to keep you longer than you need to be. All right, I'm gonna quickly, well, okay, time is 7:37. So we are calling to order a Recreation Committee meeting, Wednesday, May 26th. I'm gonna quickly read this. You can see it. All right, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Recreation Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.townofberlin.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so via Zoom. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, which we're not, because here we are, despite best efforts, we will post the town's website an audio recording, transcript, or other comprehensive records of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. All right, so welcome everyone. I'm Julie Lee. Do you guys want to just do a quick little who you are? Quick.
Sure. I'm Adams.
I'm Beth Christensen. How are you?
Hi, Beth.
Hi.
And you, Timothy.
I'm Tim Wheeler.
Mr. Wheeler.
I'm Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Wheeler was my father. I'm never
Right?
Mr. Wheeler.
Can you get the door, please? We stop knocking. All right, so before, we'll skip over our business for rec. So I had invited Tim to come to our meeting because we have some really exciting stuff happening in the town with CPA. And I think because people are new on the committee, on our recreation committee, that it would behoove everyone here to get a good understanding of what CPA is. And I think Tim is the chair of, right? CPA committee. And he's just a wealth of knowledge anyways. So I invited him so he could, you know, give us a briefing of what it is and what it kind of means for the town and what it means specifically for recreation. So yeah, I will take notes, and we also have the draft. Did you guys get a chance to, I know it's a lot of pages. So if you didn't get a chance to look it over, maybe sometime we'll definitely have to have a good handle on this. But if Tim, you want to just maybe give a brief little intro of all of it, because I think you speak so well. And then if you have any questions, we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'll pretend I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So a number of years ago, the state passed the Community Preservation Act, and that allowed communities to buy into it if they chose to. And Berlin attempted to bring it to the town meeting and have it pass a couple times, but it failed until 2018. What happens is that a community makes a decision as to what percentage of one's taxable real estate is assessed a fee, and we can use a 1%, 2%, or 3% fee. And in Berlin's case, we chose the 3%. And then as a result, and as you've noticed, there's a small sum that's added to your tax bill that goes to Community Preservation Act. And when you do that, it's one of those deals where if you have to spend money to make money. And so Berlin commits to this percentage of this fee, and then the state, to some degree, matches that fee. Now, because we went to 3%, we get a larger percentage than those towns that only chose to buy in at 1%. So in the first year, we raised from our end somewhere around close to $300,000. And then the state, because we had the 3% fee, matched 68% of that. So we got about 190 from the state. So
That's awesome.
for that, for fiscal 21, we generated close to $500,000 with the CPA money.
Unbelievable.
And that'll be true going forward. Most likely it'll continue that way. The state gets its match by a fee that's attached to any filings that are done at the Registry of Deeds. And they've raised the rate of that fee recently. And so that means that because more and more towns are getting on board with CPA, although very few at 3%, they told us that of the towns that have done it in the last 10 years, we're one of the only ones that have gone for 3%. So
Wow.
we did ourselves a favor.
Yeah, we did.
And as a result, we're getting a bigger piece of the pie than, for instance, Hudson is a much larger town, but I think if you look at what we got for CPA match from the state, it's similar to what Hudson got from the state because they're only at 1%. And some towns around, like Marlborough, hadn't bought in yet. Shrewsbury bought in last year, and Lancaster did. I don't think Bolton may not be a participant yet. Hudson has been in for a long time. Stowe's been in at 3% for a long time. So, there's almost 190 communities now that are members essentially.
Wow.
So what happens is, of that $500,000, 10% has to go to, well, there are 3 different buckets essentially, and they're all driven by the consideration of trying to, preserve your community essentially. So one is historic preservation. So the Historical Commission would participate in making recommendations about how some of that money might be spent. The housing partnership gets a certain amount of money, or housing in general gets a certain amount of money. And then open space and recreation are pooled together, and they get money. So 10% of all that money goes to each one of those 3 categories: historic preservation, open space and recreation, and housing. Then
Tim, is that for each, or is it 10 total?
10% of the total amount. So that essentially close to $50,000 automatically goes on an annual basis to each one of those 3. And going forward, we'd probably, again, be close to $500,000 a year. So you'd expect $50,000 automatically to go into those reserve accounts. So that's what we did at town meeting the other day. We voted to take 10% of the revenues from 2021 and put it into each of those 3 accounts. And then looking into the future, we projected what the revenues would be for 2022. And we assigned 10% of those revenues for each of those 3 accounts. And then the 5% for administration by the committee, in case we have to do appraisals or hire consultants, that sort of thing. And then 70% goes into a general fund that can be utilized for any one of those 3 categories at some future time. So what happens is those monies are placed into those accounts, but nothing can be spent unless you go to a town meeting and authorize the expenditure. And the Preservation Act Committee, the Community Preservation Act Committee, which is made up of Julie, MJ, Elaine Wickstrom, Eloise Sauls is not a permanent member yet, but the Housing Partnership will put somebody on at some point. Carolyn McDonald, and James Holyoke,
Nice work.
and myself. So that's the committee. And they're each representing different factions, with one from the planning board, one from rec, one from conservation, one from housing partnership, and then 2 at-large members. So what happens is the committee is charged with creating a plan, which is the thing that we sent around to you, because we want the plan to represent the interests of each one of these 3, well, 4, because rec and conservation are essentially the same, but they each have different driving factors that they want to pursue. So they're each included separately in the plan. So we generate the plan. We're required to do that. We're required to update it on an annual basis. And then the plan tries to forecast some of the interests that those different parties might have in utilizing the funds at some future time. When the plan is done, and in the plan, you see a process for how you would apply to utilize the funds. And so there's a pre-application and application, and then there's the criteria of how funds might be expended. So a group, and it could be a committee within the town, it could be a nonprofit within the town, it can be a lot of different catalysts that might generate a proposal. They come with a preliminary application to the committee, get some idea as to whether the committee feels it's appropriate. Then they proceed to a real application. The committee has to recommend the use of the funds to the town meeting through a warrant article. And then the town meeting would vote by a simple majority as to whether or not those funds are going to be expended for that particular project. And then, so what we expect right now is, because we've identified funds that could be utilized in the fiscal year 2022, if there's a special town meeting in the fall, let's say October or November, we could very well be in a position where some of those funds could be identified and applied to certain projects. So the committee's goal is to finalize the plan probably sometime in July or so, and then be in a position where we could tell people we'd accept applications at such and such a date, maybe by the middle of September, if there was going to be a town meeting in November, and then put articles on the warrant that could be voted on at that special town meeting. And if it doesn't come to pass that we have a special town meeting, we'd just end up being in May next year at the annual town meeting. So that's the process. Now, it can't be used, and if you look at the plan, there's a couple things that it spells out that they don't want you utilizing funds for, which none of us have memorized yet.
Have it.
I think it's on 9.
I'm
Page
using it. Go ahead. You go ahead and read them, because I'm working with an earlier draft.
I think I see right, definitions.
Well, I mean, an easy way to do it is that they can be used for the acquisition, creation, and preservation of open space, the acquisition, preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration of historic resources, the acquisition, creation, and preservation of land for recreational use, which is where you guys come in.
Yeah.
The acquisition, creation, preservation, support of community housing And this may include payments to local regional housing organizations. We've recently joined the Assabet Regional Housing Consortium. So the goal of the committee is to be a catalyst, but not an initiator. So people are going to come to us and say, you know, here's an idea, and we're going to try to encourage it, or say, we've looked into this and it probably wouldn't qualify. So we warn people early on before they invest a lot of time and energy. We'll be a funder for projects, not a developer, and then we'll attempt to meet multiple community preservation goals in each project. And you know, whenever possible, particularly in your case, you know, the opportunity to meet some of the open space and recreation plan, you know, you're familiar with that. That's got guidelines and projects that have been forecast as important to the town. And taking that plan and evaluating what the plan is talking about, and then looking at the Community Preservation Act plan, those two are really resources for you to use. Plus, if you go to the website for what is it, Community Preservation, it's the Community Preservation Coalition. And in there, right on the front page, they have the Community Preservation Act data bank. And then they have Community Preservation Act projects database. And you click on that, and it gives you an opportunity to select by town, by date, and by topic. So you could choose recreation as a topic and then look and see what towns around us have done. But it just goes on and on. I mean, there's Abington here. I'm looking at Abington. They probably got, well, they got over 30 different projects that they've already funded. And they're for all these different categories. And some as recent as 2020, that sort of thing. But you can go and look at what they did. Lighting installed around open space for town use and summer concerts. Go ahead.
It's a good idea. We could
Yeah,
use
I mean,
some
Totally.
Is it a use it or lose it fund, or does it carry over?
The 10% goes into open space and recreation, and it stays there until it's expended, and it can't be rolled out for some other use. It can't be taken away and given to historic preservation, for instance. The 70%, or 65 if we take off the 5% for administration, that's put into this general fund. If it isn't used at a town meeting, it goes back into the Community Preservation Act fund and sits there until we move it out again in the next town meeting, in which case we could very well on the town meeting floor take money at that time and apply more to open space or more to recreation than the 10% if somebody's got a specific project. If we don't have one, we put it into this reserve account, and that it's held there for the remainder of that fiscal year.
Okay.
And then it automatically shifts back into the general Community Preservation Act fund. So the 500,000 doesn't disappear for our use at some point.
Okay.
It doesn't get turned into the town's general fund and, you know, used for a police cruiser or something like that. It can only be used for these purposes.
I was just thinking, like, if we had, like, as a for instance, the numbers were like 50,000, right? So we decide, or we find out that, say, the project we want to do on the fields is like 100,000. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. So
what would happen is you'd have an article that would call for the use of $100,000, and you'd have talked to the committee, and the committee would be looking at, let's say, conflicting projects for conservation and recreation. So we might very well say, okay, you're gonna get 50 out of that reserve. We're gonna take 50 out of the general. And in addition, the Conservation Commission, because of something that they're trying to do, might get 150 because they want to use it toward a match with Sudbury Valley trustees to acquire a piece of land or something. So we can be creative about this. And the other thing is that, you know, you might very well say, we can accomplish this objective this fiscal year, but we're going to hold in that 10% account, you know, $40,000 that's going to be available to recreation in the next fiscal year, along with some additional funds. So then you jack it up to the 80 or whatever you need.
Yep. That's kind of what I was wondering, like, if we identify something that would cost this much, could we use it like the next year? Kind of.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So
Can I
Tim,
ask a question? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how is the money split between rec and open space, where we're sharing?
Well, it isn't, there's no definition as to how that happens. Essentially, it's a lump that's there for those general purposes, rec and open space. And so the proponent that's going to come to the committee is going to have to sell a project and give it a priority that's going to, you know, somehow place it in a position above or equal to, you know, something that open space might be working on. And I would assume that most of the time, you know, rec and open and the Conservation Commission would be working hand in hand on a lot of these things, because so much of what you do is overlapping anyway. And there are times when you diverge in terms of what specific project you might have, but a lot of the time there's a similar, you know, goal and objective. So
would we be like in the loop as far as if they plan to use, you know, a big portion of the money? Would we have any say in that, or is just like we better come up with something as well and try and, you know, basically fight them for the money? Is it just like,
well, you know, I wouldn't look at you two as adversaries. I'd say, you know, there are times, obviously, when the Conservation Commission is going to look for a big chunk of money because they might very well want to protect a significant piece of land. But when you think about the pieces of land that are still available, and the fact that often they're able to get matches from the state and assistance from Sudbury Valley, and they might very well flip some of the land that's in a parcel, you know, and sell it outright for some sort of development. We've done that before. I mean, on Ball Hill, there was that Kyra piece, 120 acres. We ended up protecting 80, I think, and we sold off 40 for the houses that are on Ball Hill and a couple pieces that are on Linden. So the objective of trying to protect the significant amount of land was still maintained, but we ended up capturing some funds from sources other than the towns and Sudbury Valley and stuff. So, and I would think that would be the case with what they might do in the future too. So the committee, which has got, you know, one member of rec, one member of conservation, one member from the historic commission, one member from the planning board, one member from housing. It's fairly diverse, so it's not as though it's stacked in any one, you know, corner. So I would say that lots of times, you know, you're not going to come in probably with projects that are, you know, $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000, but conservation might very well do that.
right?
And when they do, that 70% or 65% built up over a couple of years may very well allow them to accomplish what they want and allow you to accomplish some of the things you want at the same time. So
Sure.
We'll learn a lot. I mean, you know, we'll see how things play out. I've got one of the women who works for us here at the farm, Linda Galoni, has been on the Community Preservation Act committee in Hudson for years and years and years. And so these are the types of questions I'm going to start chasing her on, because I've been talking about procedural issues so far, but now it's time to talk about the reality of what happens when
Mhm.
you get more demand for the funds than you have funds, and how does the committee play that out, and can you come up with good compromises that allow people to move forward on projects in a
Tim, you know what I was just thinking? Could it just be split, or does it have to be 10%? So whatever happens to be, say, 50,000, or is this something that the committee would determine? Just 25 goes to rec, 25 goes to.
I think what generally it's somebody, you come in with a project, and that project is then voted on at town meeting. So, it's not, and it's project oriented. It's not just general budget, of course, so it's not like it's usually like your trail that you had talked about around the perimeter of South Common. That came in at a higher figure than you anticipated. So sometimes it might very well be that you go to town meeting and say, look, from the town, we want, 25,000, and we've got a grant for 25,000 from this source, and then we want 50,000 from Community Preservation Act, and that gives us 100 that allows us to accomplish, phase 1, and then we'll be back next year to accomplish phase 2, because it's really going to cost us 150 to complete the whole thing, that sort of thing. So, but I don't think the committee's probably going to be in a position where it just says, whatever you guys want, 25%, 50% goes of that 10% that's stashed away, 50 goes to rec and 50 goes to conservation. We can talk to some other towns and see if that's how they've solved that riddle, but it would seem unlikely that you'd do that.
Okay.
I think it really is probably going to be on the merit of the project.
Yeah.
I just like, a lot of times we're not going to have kind of an idea of how much money we actually have to spend if we don't really communicate with and what the projects they have, what's going to get approved, because we may think we have 35,000 for this project, where conservation may be thinking they have 30,000, and like the money's just not there. We're both kind of spinning our wheels.
I think that's a good point.
I think you're going to have a general sense from the fact that the Community Preservation Act Committee has agreed to put your article on the warrant, that I don't think the committee is likely to try to put projects on the warrant that are in competition with one another for a limited amount of funds. I think and now again, we need to decide this, but it seems like the committee needs to take some responsibility in going to town meeting with specific projects that they believe ought to be funded that utilize the funds that are available. And so the town meeting isn't put in a position where it's saying, we want this project from rec more than we want this project from conservation. Now we may, I'm just speaking off the top of my head, so we'll see how the committee feels as we move forward. But in an ideal world, I think if we can sort that out, it's just like the capital planning committee sits down and begins to schedule out how it foresees the utilization of our capital funds for the acquisition of, a fire truck or a highway truck or a police cruiser, so that those aren't in competition with one another. You anticipate each year you're going to spend X amount, and that you sort of line those ducks up in a row, so those different departments get what they want in a reasonable amount of time. So if rec sees some key projects and it looks at the timetable that it wants to accomplish those, would seem as though it would be wise for you guys to say, okay, we know that we want to accomplish these 3 major projects over the next 5 years, and that in order to do that, we're going to need X amount of money. CPA has got this much available. How do we look at that in terms of the total expenditure for open space and housing. And see, I don't think you're going to see the housing partnership use a significant amount of that 70%. And I don't think you're going to see the historical commission use a significant amount of that 70% either. There, if you give the historical commission 50,000 a year compared to, you know, what they've had available to them in the past and the types of projects they might want to work on, so I think the scenario there works to conservation and rec's favor in some ways. It seems like more of that 70% would be available for conservation and rec. And again, I'm not speaking for the committee, I'm just sort of brainstorming here. So we'll see as we go along, but I don't see the, I mean, the town hall's been done, the old town hall. You know, the Bullet House, they still want to do some work on. There's some other town structures that are historical that they probably continue to want to work on, but lots of times those can be done in multiple years. It's not like, you know, you get stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and the 50,000 a year that they've got would probably accomplish quite a bit. And the housing partnership, I mean, a lot of that is, you know, opportunity to help first-time home buyers that, you know, meet some criteria to help, you know, come up with that down payment, or rental assistance in certain cases for folks during, well, like during the pandemic, some towns used some of their community preservation money to help people with rental assistance. So those are opportunities, but I don't see, again, that dipping into the fund essentially to pull hundreds of thousands of dollars out for those issues. Because there's no one from housing and historical here tonight to say, what the hell are you talking about?
Julie, how long have you been on the rec committee?
The trouble with taping these is they can listen to them afterwards and say, why? Why would you say that?
Right. You're so right, Tim. Good call. Beth, what did you ask? How long?
I'm sorry, I'm just curious. How long have you been on the rec committee?
God, I can't remember. Yesterday. You're asking me to remember how long I've been on the rec committee.
How long
I'd
is
say maybe 4 years, 5 years. Rob McKay was our chair, and then it was Val.
Yeah. And you've
maybe
been working with the CPA for a while?
No, we just voted CPA in what, 2018? Is that right?
Yeah, because I remember hearing like words about it forever. It feels like
the committee.
Yeah, and then COVID.
Yeah, the committee didn't get formed until October.
Oh, okay.
Right. So this is, nobody's even touched CPA.
Right. So
you know what I mean?
So this is all
so
new
the committee. Yeah, this is new for everybody. Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
But it's a great opportunity. I mean, if you do go on the website, there is a ton of projects that were funded with CPA money in the towns that have adopted it.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. It's totally awesome. I'm super psyched that our town did adopt it, especially at the 3% because of the higher match.
Right.
But I think, you know, like Tim said, we're going to have to work through this whole application process and what that looks like and what that means. And I think that's a good point too, that, you know, you look at the 5 groups that are eligible and who's really going to be, you know, have most interest in the money. And I think it would be conservation and rec, right?
Definitely.
So, and we can certainly meet with conservation too, say, because, you know, Mark, I think that was a good point. How do we know if we're planning a project, what's actually available? So we're definitely eligible for the 10%, but like Tim was explaining too, there's another 65% general pool. And the committee is, you know, fairly represented with a representative from all of those groups.
Mhm.
and then you have that discussion. So even though 10% is guaranteed for open space and rec, there's also additional funds.
Yeah,
So I think
money.
we think about projects like the first thing, we can discuss this, but
Yeah.
the first thing that would come to my mind would be the tennis courts,
Yep.
basketball courts.
Mhm.
Do that. And I have no idea.
My brain is spinning.
I know, I love it, right? There's so many
Yeah, we can do this.
possibilities.
We can do that.
I know, it'll be so great. Because then plus you can put a pickleball court in there too for the seniors
whole
to
bunch
play.
of
That's
stuff.
super
Yeah.
popular. So great. But then you know what else I was thinking, Tim? You know how when we want to build out a project, and this might be in the draft because I didn't read that part about the draft process. You know, you have to get so many quotes if it's over 50 grand. Is that what it happens to be? Does that hold true still for the CPA money also?
That's my assumption, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But we'll find out more about that too. We can,
Right. Right.
Probably have to put it out to bid, right?
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Right. So that takes time.
Yeah,
Now-
no, I mean, it's obviously going to be an added task for any of these committees as they try to put these projects together, just as you've done in the past with town meeting. When you go in and ask for money, out of the general fund to, accomplish some goal. But in this case, the nice part is that there really is money that's been earmarked for these purposes, and it can't be utilized for anything else. So you're not competing with highway or police or the school for these funds. And that's a big difference from what's always happened in the past. If you were going to town meeting and you've had success in getting money for certain projects in the past, just as a general article at town meeting. So you know that there's support for the types of projects that you want to endorse. But in this case, you're not going to be competing against the giants, highway, police and fire, schools, stuff like that. So
Right.
it gives you a leg up.
That's nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And, there's only so many projects you guys can accomplish, in a certain period of time anyway. So again, it's looking at that strategy of over the next number of years, what are our priorities? How do we want to accomplish those? Are there other sources of funding that we can capitalize on if we can step up to the plate with X amount from community preservation, can we capture, a grant from some other source on the outside, or, do fundraisers or whatever, or capture some money out of the general funds of the town. So, the sky's the limit in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All
Awesome.
set?
All right. Yes, Tim, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Do you guys have any other questions for Tim?
Thanks for the
Wasn't that
rain.
a great presentation?
Thanks for the rain.
Yeah.
That's money
You got it.
falling out of the sky.
Yeah, that's right. It sure is. It sure
I
is.
love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That's awesome.
take care.
All right,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care. All right, so right, guys, isn't that awesome?
That is awesome.
It is good. Yeah,
It's big bucks.
for sure.
Oh, not done. Why would you think I'm done?
All right. All right, so let me see. We did that. Awesome. All right, guys, we're gonna bang through this, okay? Mark, how's your daughter?
She's fine. Yeah,
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't know what happened, but she came on.
I was there.
Okay.
So she's so cute. She was diligently running those laps, like a little tiger, and it was hot. They went last, and I
Yeah.
kept checking her off, and I kept saying, "Maybe you go get some water." And she just looked at me, didn't want any, and then she came up to me and said, "I think I need some water." And I said, "Okay." So I said, "Do you want me to go with you, or do you want to go by yourself?" And her water was a stone's throw, and she said, "I'll go by myself." So I was standing with, Lindsay Tatnall.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was standing with her, and she said, "Let me send Cooper with her." So they went off together. And then Lindsay noticed, and she's like, she seems very hot. And I said, all right. And then she was sitting there on the ground. So Mrs. Walton went over. Oh my God. And so then we're just sitting in the sun. So I just had to pick her up. She doesn't even know me, to get her into the shade. And then we just dumped water on her.
Oh my God.
Watered her whole body. And then the nurse came out. But I guess
Sorry, I didn't know what happened, but thank you
that's
for
what
that.
happened there. Yeah, yeah. Right when she got hit with the water, she instantly came through. She was
Okay.
way better. Yeah.
We're all
So she
family.
was-
Your kids are my kids are your kids.
exactly. I was like, water.
That's right.
Perfect, done. All right. So so what we normally do is we normally approve minutes, which I haven't sent you guys. And then I email them to you guys, you read them over, and then at the meeting we say, does everyone approve the minutes? Everyone says yes, perfect, move on. So every meeting, we're gonna need someone to take minutes. It's not a terrible job. I'm not really good at it because I get distracted.
Me too.
But if nobody wants to do it, I can totally do it. It's easy
I
peasy.
will do it if you want me to do it. I just don't promise that they'll be pretty.
They don't have to be.
Seriously. I
This
will
is what mine look like right now.
half of
They're all
mine.
over-
I started
Yeah,
taking,
exactly.
and this isn't that pretty? Nice and messy.
That's what I do. Yes, Beth. It's perfect. Oh yeah, you're hired. That's it. Done.
Thanks, Beth.
So all
Like
we
I
have
said,
to
I
do-
don't promise they'll be pretty.
That's fine. Who cares? So all we have to do is we have a website. The town does. Recreation has their own page, and so if a general person just wanted to go on there and type in recreation, we're supposed to post things and keep all that up to date, but we'll get there. But our minutes need to be attached to our meeting. So this gets recorded anyway, so people could find it if they wanted to, but if they just want a text version, after we post our meeting, which happens 48 hours in advance, then we go back in afterward, like a week later, and we upload our minutes on there. So you just type them up real quick, boop, send them off.
Beth,
And I can show you how to.
yeah, and Beth, if you want, if you do the minutes and you send them to me, I can put them on the website if you want. So
Oh
that's
yeah, that'd be awesome.
what I do. So if you pass
Absolutely.
me stuff, I have no clue how to do the website. So Julie, just show that to me. But then Beth, you can send it to me and I'll type them in and get them up onto the
Okay.
site.
And they don't go on the site until they're approved by us, right? Because y'all check for like my accidental mistakes.
Well, that's a very good
That's
point.
actually a really good question.
I thought
Um,
you have to approve minutes. I believe so, because you can't post minutes without everybody checking them over. But I could be wrong, but I think you're right, Beth.
Like,
that
again,
would-
only because that's what we do with the library one. That's the only reference that I have for any kind of anything like this.
right.
is from the Library trustees meetings.
So do you guys approve your minutes at the next meeting or via email? You do. So you guys are essentially you go a month
Yeah.
without posting minutes.
Yep, unless we have like a special meeting. But yeah,
Right.
otherwise we go a month and we send the meeting minutes and then we all check them over, and any mistakes that, arise, we just kind of go over them and then we approve them as amended and so on. So
Right.
Where we're a small committee, do you think just like once you fix them up, Beth, like can we approve it through email? So if like Beth sends them out when she's ready, we all quickly read it over? Or
yeah,
do
you can do that. You'll read them over like in the email, and then I guess write up or make a note or whatever what needs to be fixed, and you do it on the in the meeting, because I think it
Oh.
has to be in the meeting.
Yeah, I think it has to be publicly approved in the
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
All right, so that's fine. We'll just be a month out. So Beth, you're gonna take the minutes,
I'll do the site.
send them out to all of us whenever you get to it. So you essentially have a month. Right? It was very nice. So you'll have a month, send it out to us. As long as we can review them all before the next
Yeah.
meeting, then we approve it, and then Carrie, you'll post.
Yeah.
Well, I know the other girl, she sends it out like the next day, but I don't guarantee I can do that. But I will certainly try to
Yeah.
get them right
Yeah,
as
that's
quick
very
as I
efficient.
can. So it's still all fresh in our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
You know what I mean?
All right.
So,
Hey, God willing. Good for you.
I'll do
Do the
it.
best we can. Okay,
This is a
All right,
crazy
yeah.
month coming up, so
I know, you get two graduating, right? I know.
I do.
All right, that's exciting. That's very exciting.
It is.
All right,
It
well,
is.
Carrie, I'm gonna let you know, I'll meet with you separately then on the rec email. So we have an email address that people, if they want to reach us from the
Oh,
website,
okay.
the
I was
email
just gonna ask
recreation.
that. Yep.
Any of
Yep.
us can check it. We all have the password. I think I sent that to you guys already, but maybe I didn't. But you can just pop on there anytime you want. All of us can monitor the email. Carrie volunteered to.
Okay.
But if we all, do you guys have an interest in monitoring the email, or do you want to just have Carrie take that on?
I can trust Carrie.
I feel the same way.
I'm
Oh my
sure she'll do
God, I'm
well.
doing the website and the email. I forgot about
Oh,
that.
I was gonna say, because I thought I was gonna do the email, but
That's like
you're more than
baby
welcome to.
Huh?
Okay. I don't know what's happening. You're gonna do the website, Karen?
Sure. But I can
Love
also
it.
monitor the email, Beth.
No, Beth said she'll do it.
Because I mean, I have my trusty phone with me like all day long, so
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
All right, so that's you.
Right. I teach kindergarten and chase those little rugrats around. I don't get to my email a lot, you know?
Perfect.
They're like chomping at my ankles all day.
oh, I bet. I can't even imagine.
Mrs. Brooks, Mrs. Brooks. Okay. All right. So if you're gonna do, so as far as the agenda, how that goes is, it has to also be posted. There's a little box that you post it on, which I'll show you how to do that. But if anybody wants to add anything to the agenda before it gets posted, we have to have that up before it gets posted.
Okay.
So if there's something you want to discuss, hey, what's happening with the trash? You know, you just have to shoot over a quick little email and we'll put it on the agenda. We could actually do a Google form. We don't have to get too crazy, right? Jewel, let's do that. Or Carrie, let's talk about this, okay? But there's sticklers. Actually, the website is a stickler for it has to be 48 hours before. If you're 46 hours before, we can't have our meeting.
Do you know if we'll
Yes.
go back like regular meetings once like next month or?
I think regular meetings are always a good idea. What do you
Like
guys
in-
think?
You mean outside or not outside, just in person?
Oh, you mean in person?
Yeah, in person. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Yes.
nice?
I believe they are going to it. The problem right now is all meetings are public meetings, so the public can attend. We don't have the housing for that. So they're waiting until that restriction's been lifted, and I think that's coming
Yeah.
at the end of, right? So
A
once
couple-
that lifts, we go back to at the town hall,
Cool.
at the municipal buildings. So hopefully that's soon. All right, what else do I have? Okay, quick trash update. I think I told you guys, but highway is disposing of it now once a week. Steve is collecting it and centralizing all the trash and then disposing of it.
I love that plan.
That's Steve Bradley, right? Now I gotta check everything. Steve Bradley.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we know
So,
how often?
okay, right. So Dave explained to me this is going to happen. Dave's the highway superintendent, great guy. He explained to me it's going to happen once a week. And I did see Steve last week collecting it and centralizing it.
Mhm.
I was there yesterday and today, and the trash, A, we're missing trash cans, and B, the trash is totally full.
Wow.
So I think what happened is the highway took it, and I talked to him, but the highway took the trash cans, but they never came back.
Okay.
So I let that guy that was weed whacking know, we just need the trash cans back so we can.
Weed
put the
whacking
trash-
guy.
Yep. So hopefully that communication will get passed, but that's the plan moving forward. He's gonna do that through, Dave had said through October. I asked if he could extend it through November, which is when we pull the trash anyways. So hopefully it's that whole time. We have trash budgeted anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. And he's doing it for a song, quite honestly. He's
Do we
doing it
know-
for, yeah,
A specific day?
they
we know?
started.
No,
that
when,
he's-
like every Wednesday, every Friday? Okay. All right,
just whatever.
okay.
That's a good question.
Just wondering so we could make sure like it's clean for the games and stuff on Saturday or Sunday and.
Brilliant. Yep.
Yep.
I love that. I can shoot Dave an email
Okay,
and ask him that. I know this was sort of you know, thrown together sort of as, not a favor, I mean, he's getting
Yeah.
paid to do it, but you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Dave reached out to him, so I don't know I don't know what his other job responsibilities are, so I don't know if he's doing it like when he can get to it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'll ask Dave if we can get a day, but I don't, you know.
And just curious, so we can kind of keep an eye on it, make sure. I mean, not that I don't
Sure.
trust him, just, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, we're
Sure.
like, seems like it's been 3 weeks, what's going on, you know, so,
I know those trash are all the way up,
yeah,
Right
you
now.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, see, so,
because we had sports, it was packed last weekend, and now we're halfway through the week, you know what I mean?
yep. Yeah.
Um,
Well, last weekend was the town meetings too, right?
oh, right, but I bet they dumped from that, because they were right there, the highway guys were right there.
Oh, okay, right.
All right, really quickly on the ground, seeing as we're on this, just to give a quick little update there. Anyone that's, okay, so here's what happens with highway. They are working 4-day work weeks, so Monday to Thursday. They get their hours in, but they work 4-day work weeks. So they will look at the weather forecast for the week in terms of mowing, and they like to mow on Wednesday or Thursday, which are as the end of their work week, because they know the games are on the weekends. And Dave was explaining that it takes, you know, those guys for all the parcels of land in town 3 full days to mow. 2 guys, 3 full days.
I bet.
People just don't seem to understand that, but there's a lot of acreage that has to get mowed. And he said the guys take mowing down there very seriously. But what
Mhm.
happened last week, because baseball didn't get mowed, some dads had to mow, soccer, there was a strip that didn't get mowed, and then there was kind of like patchy areas.
That's
I
weird.
don't know what's happening. So what happened is though, one of their lower lawnmowers blew. So they only had 1 mower. So they were doing the best they could. We talked. I said, we gotta, you know, games are on Saturdays for soccer, so the soccer fields need to be mowed at least on Saturday. Practice we can kind of get away with, but they have to be mowed for Saturdays. And he agreed. And then baseball, I said, they're Monday to Friday. So, you know, there was a game, I guess, baseball this week where they were kind of like, Berlin was like the laughing stock because the ball was lost in the outfield because the grass was just too.
That's bad.
But we
Yeah.
also, you know, we didn't know that they, you know, a lawnmower blew, you know what I mean? So I think it's just a communication piece, but he's aware, you know, and I know the guys were working pretty diligently yesterday and the day before to get it mowed and weed whacked. So I think they're doing the best they can now. But
Yeah,
if anything does come up, good.
No, it looked great tonight.
Yeah, okay. And that's what's gonna happen. You know, you get like a little bit of rain and then the sun and that grass goes whoop, right up right quick, you know, within a couple of days. So, but I think it's easy for people, you know, to complain, right? You know,
Isn't it?
about the grass. And I get pissed too. Like I want the grass to be nice for the athletes and for visiting towns and stuff. But I think it's really easy on the sidelines for everyone to kind of go along with, you know, what the hell is highway doing, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, I think we have to show a little, you know, we have to show some solidarity with the department a bit, you know, and say, hey, you know, a mower blew, blah, 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 or feel free to reach out. Dave is very reasonable. You know, he works hard. The guys work hard. What's that?
I think I've met him. He's pretty nice.
He's super nice. And they do a lot of work in town. You know what I mean? Stuff that
They do. They do a lot.
civilians don't really notice, but you know, they're doing a lot of shit. So
If they didn't do it, they would notice.
Right, exactly. So I know that it's just easy for people to talk shit, but if we can just, you know, kind of like talk people down, you know, I'm pissed too when I see the field, you know, the field strip of mowing in there. I'm like, all right, we'll have to reach out to them. But anyways, okay, so that's my rant about that.
Okay.
We're not going to do this tonight because I think we're sort of, it's already 8:30 right now. We have to, at some point, come up with a field usage fee that we, you know, have a discussion about. Currently, right now, I'm running down there outdoor boot camp fitness classes. I mean, I have my own insurance and I have a waiver that people sign that releases the town from liability and me from liability. But regardless, you know, it is a town grounds, and there should be some sort of, I should be paying for the grounds, right? We charge, as we talked about before, the youth sporting programs pay, Guardians Lacrosse pays, Tohoto Lacrosse pays. But, we have to have a plan in place. So if someone wants to come to us this summer and say, hey, I want to run a, ultimate Frisbee something, what's the fee, right? And it's a good way to generate some kind of income too. We don't have to break the bank. I'm not going to pay, $500 a month to run, lifting weights down at the, you know what I mean? So we just kind of keep that in the back burner and kind of maybe come up with some ideas. I had thought maybe initially anyone that wants to run a wellness anything. So like, Tai Chi, yoga, I don't know, my thing, not sports, because I don't really think that's real wellness. But any sort of like physical wellness stuff, I think should be a flat rate fee per month of whatever it happens to be. But that's just an idea. But just start, thinking about ideas. I have a huge packet of what other towns pay. I think we talked about this before, surrounding towns. So we have some sort of comparison. But it really ultimately would be up to.
Well, I feel like, isn't that like, I don't know, like you say the rec is like kind of, supposed to generate things for people to do in the town, like recreation. But like your boot camps are like largely attended by people in town and like they love it. So like why would, I feel like that's almost like a good thing for the community. So why should you have to like pay a fee for it?
I agree with you on that. I was just thinking that.
It's like, I don't know, we're
I know.
doing this wonderful thing, like,
Mhm.
why do you have to pay for it? Like no one's using that section of field you're on at like 6 in the
I
morning.
know. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I know.
Like, something like it could be like a recreation program,
That would be
Right.
awesome. That's what we need. It would be
sports.
really fun as something for the kids, like a little obstacle course in the summer.
It's a great idea. Yep.
You'd be
Yeah.
fantastic.
I know. I know. I don't mind doing a kid one. I would love to do a kid
That
one.
would be awesome.
That'd be so
That'd
fun.
be awesome. Yeah.
So
that'd be
we
fun.
could maybe do that then. That's not a bad idea then, going through rec as a recreation program.
Mhm. Yeah.
Structure, but it's
I don't know how that is.
What's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I see what you're saying, because if it's benefiting the community,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, I think the
So
fee
then we would have that guideline. Say it
outside.
again, Kim?
I think the fee should be for more of the outside rental, like Guardians, all that jazz.
And like sports, because we have to like maintain the things for the sports teams. I feel like it's a little different
Right.
than like kind of using a section of grass,
Right. Okay. And that
So-
might be a good thing too, because we might be able to then really promote the whole wellness.
Right.
Yeah.
You could do senior yoga,
Mhm.
and then it would, and so then essentially what would happen was whoever the instructor is, they charge the fee, they make the fee, then nothing goes to
Right.
the town.
If
Right.
it's like, it's so not invasive at all what you're doing or what anyone would do there. So like, I don't think we need to collect a fee for it.
Okay. All right. Everyone agrees?
I don't know how I feel about that, because I think that something should go to rec.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying like, I don't know, as a, for instance, you gotta cover your costs, you gotta cover your time. Like say your $5, like maybe $1 goes to the town, right? A
Mhm.
small fee.
We're not like a for-profit organization either. It's like, we're supposed to just be providing things in the community for people to do.
That's right. That's what our charter says, right? To provide recreational services.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how we can do
Generate.
this, because you want to, well, not you, but we need to generate, so we can keep these fields up and we can keep
Right.
everything, covered, costs covered. So
Right,
that's what I was
right.
thinking, like a small, we're not charging a lot, unless we can use some of that money that, you know, that Tim was talking about. I don't think that's the same.
No, yeah, you can, yeah, it is. What do you mean? Use it for what? Like
Well, I was
projects?
thinking like use it for, like a recreation, like a yoga for people, right? So they could do it almost like
Oh, right,
town, you know what I mean? Like
right,
charge
right, right.
people out of town, but not people in town.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like a, I don't know, something like that, like a senior yoga. You don't charge
Right.
seniors, so they're more apt to want to do it, but then,
Right,
you know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
great,
yeah.
but I'm thinking a small fee, not anything
Well,
outrageous.
I kind of go both ways, because like if I was to pay a fee
Mhm.
to the town, I would then likely have to up the price,
Mhm.
which I don't
Right.
want to do. I want to keep it very affordable.
Yep.
Because it's a, you know,
Right.
much cheaper than a membership anywhere for sure.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you want to keep it so yeah, I don't know. It's just a tough one. And we can kind of maybe, I don't know. So for recreation, I would say to generate income, we need to rent those fields, because that's big bucks. Like when Puma came, it was $2,000 for their camp that they ran in the summer. That's pretty good money for nothing. We had to do a portable toilet and a hand sink.
Wow.
Boom, done. You know what I mean? But the fields then fell apart, and now they don't want to. They're in Northborough now, I'm pretty sure, right? Because they have pretty good fields. But if we have the space, you know, sporting programs are looking to rent space. We just have to get our fields, you know, up to snuff so we can start generating some income back there.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of space.
We have
Can do
so
it.
much space.
There's a lot of different things we could do.
Mhm. Yep, exactly. Speaking of space, there's some gentleman that wants to do a ultimate Frisbee course there.
Really?
Interesting.
Where?
Yep. Well, that's what Rick said. He's like, where is that going to happen? He wants to use the grounds.
I suppose you could, if you use the whole grounds.
Then Rick didn't think it was a good idea, because then there's kids everywhere.
Yeah.
But he said he does them all over. He's from Colorado. But his latest one was at a middle school. They're in the woods, out of the woods, you know.
Does
But
he
I
do
said I
like,
would ask you guys.
is it like a one-time event, or is it like an ongoing, like there's a course here?
You know, I think it's a course. So
Oh, wow.
those things would stay in the ground.
So wait, quick
I
question.
guess people just bring their things.
Is this something that like he would be running? Like come to my,
No, I guess it's like I don't know. They ultimate Frisbee leagues. They play. I don't know a whole lot about it except
like,
from
for
what I
him,
played with.
like what's he getting out of it? Like by putting in the baskets in the course, like then what happens? Like, is he looking for us to purchase this? Like, oh, hey, can I put my ultimate Frisbee course up? Like, what is he getting from this? Like, is he just putting them in and then?
Of course. You know, Carrie, that's a good question. I can email him back and ask, like, are you going to be charging for tournaments, or? I wasn't totally sold on the fact of having these little cases just everywhere on the premises. First of all, I think the kids will destroy them. Why wouldn't you, right? They're pretty cool. You can kind of pull on them and hang on them and stuff. I don't know if they get removed. I don't really know the whole deal.
Okay. Because it is a cool
or
thought
like-
too, for people just to show up and like toss the disc and practice and all that jazz, but nobody would be monitoring the equipment.
I gotta run.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. I have to go
Oh my
pick up
God, don't worry. Yeah, go ahead, honey. I'll finish taking notes.
Thank you.
All right, I'm just gonna pay some bills. We're going to be done.
All right, guys, I will talk to you later. I'll get what I did done. I'll send it over to Julie. She can finish it up.
All right, Beth. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right,
We
talk
are-
to you. Bye.
All right, ciao. All right, guys, we'll go quick. So I'll find out more info on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just
Or
feel if there's a soccer game and some kids show up to, you know, throw the Frisbee and they have to throw it over the kids' heads and they try and do that. And I just think it could be a little bit like,
Mark, that's what I was thinking.
yeah,
I feel like someone's just gonna get injured.
someone could just show up and start playing and like, you know, be all over.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's a good spot for it.
Yeah, maybe somewhere
Uh,
else. Like people do like that, but I don't think the South Common is a good spot for that.
All right, just
Totally.
acknowledge that, Jules, when you see the guy.
Or maybe on the behind the school,
Yeah, like
over there.
usually those like
When
wooded
school-
areas have those where like you have to go around those trees and it's like I
That's
don't
what Rick said.
know, not over like a soccer field, you know.
That's exactly what Rick said. You guys. All right. So all right, maybe I'll just tell him no. Should we just tell him no?
Say no, forget it.
Okay.
It's way too
We're gonna
confusing.
say no. We're gonna say yeah, no, because it's just. I mean, there's just too many kids.
Too much action. We've got a very busy atmosphere over there.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. Okay. All right. All right. We got to pay some bills. All right. So check it out. We have what's today? May. So we have just about. Are we in May? Yeah, we're in May. Okay. We have until June 30th. All of our money has to be spent from our. This was a very unusual year because we usually are expending more in our fields. So what that means is, hold on, I'm just going to pull this up really quickly. So before we pay our bills tonight, we have in our account $9,460. Oopsies, I'm on the wrong thing. However, we're going to pay a few big hitter bills, which is going to knock us down a little bit, but we're still going to have a balance in our account. Okay. So what did I just say? 9,460. That's not our savings account. That's just our general. Out of the 12,400 that we get for the year, we've paid out some, and now we're going to pay out more from this. Okay. So we have to pay out, we already approved the bleachers, the 2K, right? So that brings us down to 7,460, right? Then we also, True Green came out and they have done a fertilization for the whole grounds, which they kind of look a little bit better now. We have a little bit of grass, some things germinated, right? And we have grub preventative. So that's $4,700, okay? So that's a big hit. So now we're at 2,760. So, Mark, before, you may have remembered this from way long ago, but the Canadian geese that littered the property forever, flocks and flocks, it was disgusting. Well, it wasn't really so disgusting. Well, it was disgusting. But you just couldn't walk without, you know. So we hired this guy that, I don't know if you've ever seen him down there. He has 2 collies, and they herd and they remove the geese. And we've been doing it for a few years now, yeah, and it's been very successful. So he splits it. It's $1,200, so the school pays half and we pay half. So it's $600 a year for both of us to pay. So he usually remits it. So here's the problem, right? The annual year runs January to January. The fiscal year runs July 1st to July or June 30th, right? So what that means is we have to get all of our bills, our money comes to us July 1st into our account. We can only pay bills from July 1st on until June 30th. So if we get a bill, because we're in the middle of our season right now, right? So the fiscal year ends basically in the middle of our season. So half of our money comes from one fiscal year, the other half comes from the other, okay? So what the Goose Patrol does is he bills us twice. He bills us for the second half and then for the wraparound, okay? So we have a bill for him for $300. So we're gonna pay that too this time. So now we're going down again. So now we're at $2,460, and I thought I had one more bill. Oh, no, that's it. That's it right now. However, we have not received a bill from the portable toilet company. So we brought those out on the premises, I think, April, right? And we have 4 units that sit out there now. So when we had 3 units, they charged us $200. So 2 units was $200. So it's probably double. So it's probably going to be upwards of $450. So we're looking at probably that's going to be another $1,000 to pay for, I'd say, this month for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? So we pay April, we pay May. That'll bring us to the end of the fiscal year. So then we're looking at, if I have this done right, probably $1,400 left over. So I think that's all we have to pay is the trash. So because, you know, we budgeted for that money, we certainly can use that money on the fields. It's only allowed for materials. We can't, so municipalities, you can't pay for work until it's been completed.
We
So
need to
true,
materials now.
what's that?
We need to pay for some like material now.
Correct, you can pay for the material, yep.
True Green.
So, yeah, so True Green's writing it up and seeing if they can get this written up for us, that they're gonna purchase the materials, and then bill us for the remaining amount, so we can end up with a budget, that we've cleared our budget. Does that sound, you guys get it?
Yeah,
Did I
no,
make that clear?
no, that's
Okay.
very cool.
Okay, thanks, Kara. All right, so back in October of 2020, we received a check from the basketball program for $300 that we never deposited, / I never deposited. So I called the credit union because they're supposed to void, I guess, after 90 days. However, she said it's totally fine. It's actually a few years, despite what it says on the check. I guess check says one thing, but the real truth is something else. So we're going to deposit this $300. The basketball program makes a donation to REC every year, which is super nice. So they gave us $300 because really, we don't really have anything to do with basketball. Like soccer, sure, we take care of the grounds. Baseball, we help out with the grounds. But basketball, we don't really do a whole lot. We refinish the floor. That gets done every 3 years. But the men's basketball program that plays every Monday night, they haven't in a while because of COVID. And it's like $2 or something. They drop money in a hat and they make a donation of, I don't know, like $500. So they pay half and then we pay the other half to refinish the floor. And the school pays nothing, which I don't really know why that happens, but that's what happens there. So I'm going to deposit $300. I don't know why that, I don't know. So, go ahead.
No, I feel like it doesn't make any sense why the school who houses the gym and uses it every day doesn't.
So here's what I know. I know when the school was built, it was built so the gym and the CAF are separate, you may remember this, from the school. And the school has total ownership of the gym. However, the town also is able to use the gym and the CAF even, if they wanted to have spaghetti dinner or something like that. Now there's some stipulations there. There has to be a certified person in the kitchen, all that stuff. And I don't know why REC has done the floor, why it's not a budget item for the school. Maybe because the school is broke. I don't know. Not like we're rolling in the dough, because we're not at all either.
Yeah,
I don't really know where that came from, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I know it's like, I think, I don't know, $1,300 maybe. I don't even know what it costs. Let me find that out. Yeah, it's $1,400. And basketball, so we pay $1,000 every 3 years.
Wow.
For the gym. Right. But I will say Mr. Campbell is super awesome about with the basketball program, using the gym.
Definitely, because look what he did this time for us.
Right, he's so super duper awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, expenses done, deposit done. We get how our budget runs, done. So guys, I think that's it. Did I cover everything? I think I got everything. Do you guys have anything?
No, do we have to approve the money for you or anything?
Yep, thank you. Yeah, watch me, Carrie. Gets to be the witching hour. All right, let me make a, hold on, a motion. I'm gonna total this. Kind of just want to pay the whole 600 for the goose, I mean, right?
Mhm.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're gonna do 2,000, then we're gonna do 4750, then we're gonna do 600. Then I still don't have his, so we're gonna get one from the portable toilet company, and she may send that through the email. I know they're having some trouble with their billing department, getting invoices out, but we should have received something by now. But that's all we have right now is the grounds, the trash, the portable toilets, and the goose. Those are our expenses. So, all right, that is for a total of $7,350. So one of us has to make a motion.
I motion to approve the money being.
Perfect. So $7,350. And is there a second? Carrie, you second.
Second.
Okay, and then we have to approve. So I say aye, and then Carrie.
Aye.
Perfect. And Mark.
Aye.
All right, unanimous improvement there. So whenever we vote on something, we need 3. So if someone can't make a meeting, we're still fine. If 2 of us can't make a meeting, we can't pay any bills. So we might as well just move the meeting to another time, okay? All right, so that's good. Bills are paid. And then we're gonna make a motion to deposit the $300 from,
Motion.
perfect. Second.
Second.
All right, all approved. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Nice, we are very official. All right,
All right.
guys, I feel like that was good. Does anyone else
Hey.
have anything?
I do. Well, like,
Oh,
what's
yes.
the CPA money? Like, hey, do we have anything? Like, I know we want to do like
Plan?
back. Like,
Dude, I could do so much with that money. Tell me we have money to spend, I'm gonna spend it. I think the priorities are the basketball courts because they're like this.
right.
And they actually weed whack the tennis courts. So that's awesome. And the tennis thing doesn't even stay on. It's,
Right.
so I would say that would there was talk about a grant, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
That fell through. So I also, the grounds are going to be they're going to be an issue. I was going to ask Tim actually while he was on here, if irrigation would count as a CPA funded. So it's enhancements to existing or improvements to. I know a well would have to be built. I have no idea how much. I wouldn't even be able to guess. You could say 400,000. I'd say sure.
No, it's probably like 10,000 per well.
Oh, right. That's it. That's
Yep.
not bad. I mean, there's 10 acres there.
You probably need a couple wells, but
Oh, right.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like a well can go, pretty far.
Right. So, I mean, these are things we can talk about, that playground that's currently there, we're supposed to get that inspected yearly. It has some safety issues, but if we were to go to town floor to try to get another playground, I think the town would burn us at the stake because
Yeah,
we don't. I mean, it's a lot of playgrounds in a little amount of space, right? But that playground's a special playground because that's a dedication playground. So that was dedicated to a young child that's no longer living. So that playground can never come down.
Which one is
It just
that?
has to be. So the one right at the front of the property, not over near the school.
Okay.
Up where, yeah.
Who is that dedicated to?
I don't know the child's name, but if you go on the brick walkway to get in, there's all bricks there that different families donated money to the playground, and I don't know the child's name. A tragic story though. Yeah. So what we have to do is we have to keep that playground,
Oh yeah, of course.
But people probably don't know that if we were to,
Right.
But I don't know, we can come up with, that's the thing. We have to have a plan.
I just feel like if we don't use our money, open space is going to use it all. And we're, we late to the party and like, oh, we want to do this. Oh, open space bought this parcel of land for $1 million and they need all of it. All right, well.
Mark, I think you're right. I think that's a good point. I think, conservation does awesome stuff with buying land, and I certainly support it. And I think your point too, sort of, well, if we don't know how much we have to kind of work with to build out a project, and they're doing the same,
right.
We're spinning wheels. You're 100% right.
I feel like they are like, I don't know this, but I think they are kind of counting on all of the money to do their projects and not really factoring Rec's portion in. Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying. I think that the people that right now are on that committee are, I've worked with a couple of them and they're level-headed people. And I think I think what we're going to have to do is meet with conservation and say, hey.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? We're looking to do, say, the courts, right? We want 2 basketball courts and 2 tennis courts. We want to build that up. But that's the thing, like Tim said, this is going to take a lot of work on our end.
Right.
Right? A lot of work. I know to get that wellness trail, oh my God, it was hours and hours and hours of work.
I feel like we should do the wellness trail too. Like that would be awesome.
I love that idea. So kids can ride their bike.
Awesome.
It would be so great. I love the one in Northborough, like that you carried right across from your sister's house.
Yeah.
McCafferty Park. Oh, it's so great.
It's
I love that. So that's the thing. Maybe what we should do is we should have a meeting just dedicated to, at the end of all, just dedicated to projects. Like Tim said, what's our plan over the next few years? What do you guys want to see for projects? We could do that. That would work out, I think, well.
If we don't.
Right. I know.
Put that on the agenda and we just start to piece it together and articulate exactly the plan and our action of what we're going to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Like more so than the trail would be used more than the court.
Say that one more time. You think what?
I feel like that trail, if we built that trail, the wellness trail, utilize more than the courts would be by more people in town.
And I feel like you're right.
And both need to be done. Both are great ideas. As far as getting buy-in from the town, I feel like who wouldn't support the walking trail around South Common?
You'd be surprised. When we didn't want to disrupt the natural look.
Ah.
A gazillion reasons. There was a gazillion. But eventually it did get approved. It got approved. Because it's all who shows up. It's all who shows,
Right.
You gotta show up to vote, and that's what happens there. But okay, so maybe we could start with that. We could, I think that's a great idea. I think both are great ideas. But I think you're right, and especially with what's there now. So for this 10%, which is upwards of $60,000, right? We have to move on this fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if there's a special town meeting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to go out to bid. We got to have an application. We got to move.
All right. So why don't we do this moving forward so that we can get going tonight? Why don't we put it on the next agenda? The next meeting is the walking trail, and we can pick up where we left off with. It was approved, but then it never came to fruition, obviously. So
right.
Sorry, I'm chewing.
So just to give you an idea, that was now the lowest on that was 220,000.
Okay. So bring all the information because you were on that committee.
Hope I didn't throw it out. Okay.
We'll kind of look at what we're looking at for money and what we need to do forward.
Did we get money? Okay, yeah. We got mitigation money though, and then we had to return it, and that was 50 grand that we got.
But approximately what it would be to do this. So then we look at that CPA money and all that jazz.
Yep. Okay.
Differences and go.
And we can also piecemeal it. We did a mile loop. We don't have to do that. We can do a smaller one for 70 grand, and then the year after add on to that. I don't even know if construction wise that's the smartest thing to do. I have no idea.
A year for the next 10 years.
I know. All right, let's bring it up to the next. Because so we can move on this, because that would be
All right,
nice
all
to get it moving.
Yeah.
So what, yeah. All right, when do we want to, meet again?
Do we meet once?
June.
All right.
Yeah, once a month. So today's the end of May. Do you want to meet the end of June? I feel like sports is over then. Are people going away?
Yeah, but Zoom, so can make it work.
All right.
By then,